Okay, guys, just so you know, I see one person is in here. I'm here. I'm going to wait a minute or two to see if we get any more people in here. And then I'm going to go ahead and field any questions you guys may have had about the importance of being earnest that maybe you felt like weren't covered. And then I'm going to go into the explanation of the papers, the topics, and how we're going to go about conferencing for those. If on occasion you hear like a funny sound in the background, my wife just got back from the vet with her cat, and for some reason her cat keeps coming in here and visiting me, and she's having some sort of allergies like sneezing and things like that. So if you hear like a weird sound in the background, that's what it is. Okay, so don't be put off if you hear like a chee. That's the cat. For some reason she's sitting outside of my bedroom door watching me right now. I don't know exactly what the fascination is, but anyway. Belrica, good to see you. I think we have one other person in here too. So just hang tight for 2 or 3 minutes. And that's when I'm going to get going. This isn't going to take 50 minutes to do. I think I've been more than living up to my end with all my classes of making sure I'm doing what I would have been doing in the classroom. So, that being noted, I don't think there's any reason to go over a whole lot more of the importance of being earnest, because I think that lecture that I gave yesterday, I believe it was, or Wednesday, I think that pretty well covered it. At least the main points I would have hit on in class. So, yes, it was abbreviated. I can't unfortunately cover, what in your book is a 50-page play in just, a couple of 50-minute sessions, unfortunately. And I wouldn't have been able to do it in class either. So that's just sort of giving you the nitty gritty. I went through the outline and I hit on the stuff I thought was the most important stuff for you all to get out of it. Before we get going, does anybody have any questions about the play that you could type in here to me? And I'm more than willing to answer them. It's kind of like a wedding. Speak now or forever hold your peace, because I am so busy making videos, grading, etc., that I don't know how easy it would be for me to respond to emails if you guys had questions that you could ask me now, when I have, if I need it 47 minutes to address them. So like I said, I'm going to wait another minute. I'm going to wait till 5 after, and then I'm going to get going. I hope you all are well. I hope you're practicing your social distancing. Just a quick story. Don't know how many of you guys have actually been out. As I told you all the saga with my truck, I had to go get it the other day in Columbia, and about the only traffic on 26 at 5 o'clock at night were tractor trailers, because as we know, they need to get the our day-to-day materials where they need to go. And so the truckers are out there doing a yeoman's job. They deserve some credit too, because I'm sure they're pulling long hours and doing a lot of that hard work that is allowing us to stay supplied during this time. So just a quick for me anyway, a quick prayer for them, that they're safe out on the roads and that they're able to get to their destinations unharmed. Okay, I've got 5 after, so I'm going to go ahead and start up. If you looked on Moodle, what you would see is I've already posted your paper topics there. I'm going to blow these up, and then what I'm going to do is go back and minimize this so that we can, I'll move it down to the bottom corner here. And I'm hoping that, again, you can see this on YouTube. If you can't, it's already on Moodle. So basically, these are your topics, and this is what they need to contain. This is what the requirements are. Okay. Nothing really new. 5 to 7 pages, double spaced, MLA or APA format. Again, I don't particularly care which one you use. Just do it right. Okay. Especially now that everything's being done digitally, or I guess the proper word is virtually. These papers are probably going to be more subject to being looked at than papers that were turned in when we were on ground. So it's going to be very important that you adhere to these things. Okay. Otherwise, it's going to look like you're not doing your jobs and I'm not doing mine. As you know, papers have to have titles. They need works cited pages. You have to have a proper heading. I am asking that you put headers on these. Headers is just what goes up here, your last name and page number. I'm asking, that was on the web. So you have links to that, so you can find that there. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go through the topics really quickly. I just got an email and I'm just going to check to make sure. Okay. I'm just going to make sure. Let me respond to this email really quickly. Okay, so topic 1. In Ruskin's of the Pathetic Fallacy, he attacks the poetry of Alexander Pope, calling it simple falsehood, uttered by hypocrisy, definite absurdity, rooted in affectation, and coldly asserted in the teeth of nature and fact. And he immediately compares it to Wordsworth to illustrate its inferiority. In a letter to a family friend, Wordsworth wrote the following about Pope: "If the beautiful, the pathetic, and the sublime be what a poet should chiefly aim at, how absurd it is to place him amongst the first poets of his country." Okay, so the question I'm asking you here is, why do you think Pope was so maligned? I mean, why did so many people criticize him? Why was he considered absurd by a romantic poet and then later a Victorian critic? Okay, so you probably would need to go back and look at Pope's poetry and try to look at these details or these sort of descriptions or adjectives and figure out, are they true? And moreover, you've got a guy writing in probably, around 1800 in Wordsworth, and then you have a guy writing in the 1840s in Ruskin. And, these are like long after Pope died. Okay, like if I recall, and I'm going off memory, if I recall, Pope died in probably the 1760s or 70s. So these things are written quite a while after he had already died. Why would somebody who now particularly is looked at as being like one of the benchmark English poets, why would these guys have been so quick to attack him? What was it about his poetry that they simply did not like or did not think was compatible with good poetry? Okay. Number 2, looks like a short question, but probably going to require a little outside reading. So as I explained in the lecture, The Importance of Being Earnest is widely considered a work of satire. How does Wilde use satire explicitly to make a social commentary about the world in which he lived? And again, you may need to do a little more outside research on the Victorian era to stretch this paper to being a relevant 5 pages. It is a very straightforward question, but I don't think you want to think of this as being a question that is going to be answered in a straightforward way. There's probably a multitude of things that Wilde was able to use satire to do that he maybe would not have been able to do using any other form of writing. Again, remember what satire does. It uses overstatement, it uses hyperbole, it uses diminution, and almost always those things are done to attack something political. Okay? Think about that. And also, if you want to think back, if you wanted to make maybe another connection would be, was there something sort of inherent to the Irish people that made them of any real import? Was a satire. So is it something about the Irish and their disdain or distaste for the English that made them use satire? Again, just a possible way to take that. Okay. Topic 3. In King Solomon's minds, the character of Quatermain is borderline obsessed with being perceived as a gentleman, particularly by those who he feels are his social superiors. In this sense, can you compare him to Jack from The Importance of Being Earnest? And then I have sub-questions here. I don't want you to go through these like a list. These are prompts. Again, these are things to get you thinking about the topic. Is it just human nature that people want to be accepted by those from whom they seek approval? Or is there something more sinister going on in the desire for one to be seen as something more than they actually are? Or, more importantly, maybe seen as something more than they actually see themselves as being. Okay? In other words, if you have an inferiority complex and you think of yourself as being nothing, why is it important for other people to perceive you as something? Does that change your own self-identity, or does it do something to you as a person? Is there a transformation that takes place? Now, as far as the conferences go, this is very important. It is the express responsibility of each individual student to provide a specific 15 to 30-minute time frame between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. on Wednesday, the 1st of April, or Friday, the 3rd of April, during which they are able to meet via free meeting. If you know that your internet or equipment will not allow you to do this, it is, again, expressly your responsibility to set up an alternative way for me to provide you with feedback or comments that are interactive to some degree. On Monday, I will not be holding class. That's because I want you to have time to work on the papers. Papers need to be posted to Moodle, and I will put up a Dropbox by noon on Tuesday, the 31st of March, so that I have time to read them and comment on them. Request the time through email or my office phone. The thing is, if your email is not working, like if you are unable to access your email or unable to access anything that I'm posting on Moodle, etc., if you call my office phone, the phone number is in my syllabus. The syllabus is also on Moodle. And obviously, I guess if you don't have Moodle, actually maybe better if you're not able to use the internet. My office phone number is 803-535-5212. And I will also put that on this YouTube feed. Any message you leave me on my office phone, it goes directly to my email. So what that means is if you can't use your internet, surely you have a cell phone. Call my office, tell me what's going on, and we can figure out some way to set up some kind of virtual commentary, even if it's just me leaving you a recorded comments like I've done in the past. Okay? You have to make a request with me by noon on the 31st. That's Tuesday, so that I can plan out a schedule. Again, I don't know how many emails I'm going to get. I don't know how many people are going to be able to access this. Again, there are people I still have not heard from since we've been back. And there's only so much I can do in that vein. And I've accepted that. But again, remember, there's a shared responsibility here. It's not just my responsibility to give you assignments, to post lectures, to grade your work. You guys also have to be involved here too. I mean, we can't be interactive with just one person. Okay. So that's the basic layout of what I have in mind. Again, this is posted on Moodle. So if you can access Moodle, you can get this. If you can watch the video on YouTube, which again, you should be able to do even if you have just a smartphone, then this is all on here. Okay. So as far as being able to access things, I mean, there's only so many channels I can go through to give you all access to things. Right there is, 2 or 3: YouTube, email, office phone. There's really not a whole lot else I can do, particularly with the nature of social distancing and things like that, where I can't really come to campus and meet with you face to face. I mean, I would be violating probably actually a law doing that. And I'm not going to break the law to have a conference. So again, these things are kind of part of this rests on YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and open back up my YouTube. Okay, Belrica, a question about the play. Do you think that Wilde was mocking the way during the Victorian era people married their cousins? Boy, that's a good question. Again, I never want to answer you guys' questions as if I'm the total authority on it. I would say no. The main reason I would say no is because it was a common practice. Like nowadays, we probably would be like, "Ugh, that's weird." But it wasn't just in Victorian England where that was a common practice. Edgar Allan Poe married his cousin. And that was in America, and that was in the probably 1840s. So again, it wasn't just something that would have been exclusive to them. I think more probably what he was doing with the play, if he was mocking anything about people marrying their cousins, it was probably more what he was targeting in on was the idea that people, if appearances were acceptable in the matter, what I mean by that is if you were marrying somebody who had wealth, you married somebody who was attractive, you were marrying somebody who, you weren't clearly taking a step down to marry, then that was probably what Wilde was mocking more than anything else, was that almost, I think what he was saying in this play is you really don't, in the Victorian era, appearances were so important that you really didn't even have to know the person to marry somebody and think that it would be acceptable. Because in this play, you have to remember, like, these characters don't really know each other. I mean, this play, it's not real time. What I mean is it doesn't take place over the span of the period in which you're reading it, like over the course of a day. But you're not supposed to think like this whole thing is going on for years and years and years either. I mean, this probably takes place over the course of a few weeks. And you have to think like, yes, there still are people who decide, I'm so in love with a person, I'm going to marry them, even though I've known them for a month. But let's be honest, like those marriages usually don't last. Okay. So maybe what he was making a crack at was that appearances were so important that really people didn't give any more thought to marrying somebody than the appearance of it. Did it appear okay? Well, if it appears okay, then go ahead and do it. That would be my answer, Belrica, the long and short of it. And again, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying that would be based on my knowledge. That would be my answer. So if there isn't anything else, and I see there's only 2 people in here. So if there isn't any other questions, be it about the papers, be it about the importance of being earnest, I'm going to wrap up because I don't think anybody who may be typing something. If you have any other questions. And remember, you're only writing on one topic. I know sometimes there are people who think they're writing on 3. You're only picking one of those paper topics and writing on them. Factor into your attendance. I know some of you have been in every one of these things, and so obviously you would be getting attendance points anyway. But part of keeping attendance in online classes is gauging it by who's doing the assignments, because that means you're actively engaged in what we're doing, like you presumably would be in class. So that's why that's not just, I want people to know, that's not just something that I've instituted. That's pretty much an across the board practice with online classes, that completing assignments is part of your attendance. Okay, well, I'm going to assume that the silence means that you're following along. Everything is going fine. Remember, go back and look, if you have access, go back and look at the paper topics and the procedure for setting up a conference with me too. And the way I'm going to try to do that is to use free meeting like we did the other day, because I think we can do face-to-face that way. If not, like Belrica, I know you were using your phone. We can still have an interactive discussion, even if you're on your phone, even if I can't see you. Okay. I mean, you can, if you can't get through free meeting on your computer and you can on your phone, that's fine. Okay. I mean, again, we have to work with what we've got here, and not everybody has the same capabilities. And I understand that, and I'm trying to be sensitive to it. But the whole thing is, remember, just because this is taken on a virtual environment, it doesn't excuse you from doing the work. Okay. I mean, there's still stuff you have to do, and still stuff that I have to give you as assignments that are considered standard forms of assessment for a class. And if you don't do them, then I can't grade them. And unless you can provide me with some sort of reason as to why you can't do them, then those grades, they would become zeros. Okay. I mean, I'm required to do that. That being said, I wanted to make sure I stressed that before I wrapped up. And if you find in the meantime that you have any questions, just send me an email and let me know. If you have some sort of connectivity problem, again, if you're able to access this, email me, let me know. Call my office number, leave a message. There's only so much I can do here. I mean, I'm doing everything I can. So on that note, I know it's the weekend. I know everybody wants to go out and go crazy and go party, but if that's your MO, be responsible. Okay. Again, don't get 6 inches from people's face to have a conversation with them just because the music in the club is loud. Okay. Be safe, be sensible. I know you will be. And remember, Monday, we won't have a live stream. And again, be sure you go back, look at when the paper drafts are due. Be sure you email me or contact me in order to set up a conference. And I will, at that point, set up a conference with you. There'll be a link for you to click on. And at the time you set up the conference, we will meet and discuss your papers. Okay. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. And again, if you have any issues, problems, questions, just go ahead and email me. I'm pretty much quarantined and home. So I should be able to respond pretty quickly. Okay. So guys, be good, be safe. Look out for yourselves, look out for each other, and take care of yourselves and take care of business. Dr. Root signing off.